Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to have our webinar, Managing Agile Projects with Advanced Roadmaps. Some of you may or may not know me. My name is Lynette Carrillo, and I am a business development rep here at eCore. Today's webinar is going to be run a little bit differently. Our colleague Guilherme was nice enough to pre-record this webinar for us, and we are going to follow the Q&A session with Allison. So I already went ahead and introduced myself. Allison, you can go ahead and introduce yourself now.
Hi, Lynette. Thank you. This is Allison Carlson. As Lynette mentioned, I am going to be conducting the Q&A session at the end of this webinar. My role at eCore is I'm an Atlassian software consultant, where my tasks range from pre-sales to configuration to working with our customers to obtain requirements and get those implemented. So with that, let me turn it back over to Lynette.
Thank you, Allison. Right, before we get started, just a little bit about eCore. eCore is a trusted technology partner that works with customers to unlock the value of technology investments. We offer consulting and software development services to improve agility and speed to market with innovative solutions. I strongly encourage you to visit our website to learn more about what we can do for you and your business. Just a little bit of house rules before we go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, please feel free to either drop them in the chat or in the Q&A section, and we will go over those at the end of the webinar. So I guess we can get started now.
Hello, my name is Guilherme Jacondino here at eCore, and today I'm happy to share a little bit of eCore's expertise with technology solutions and methodologies, and drive you through our Managing Agile Projects with Advanced Roadmaps demo session. To get things started, I'll just share with you this agenda. It's a pretty straightforward agenda. I'll just introduce myself real quick and then jump into the demo session. That is what I imagine you guys are here for, right? And at the end, I'll just wrap things up. So, talking a little bit about myself, as a service delivery lead, I am responsible of leading a group of consultants that deliver Atlassian consultancy-related projects, mostly to US-based customers. And in that role, I am heavily involved in solution design for those customers. And I'm also responsible of managing those projects. And while doing so, most of the time, I use advanced roadmaps, or I leverage the functionalities that are present in Jira related to project management, and enhance that by using advanced roadmaps to actually implement PPM solutions, so program portfolio management solutions, and actually use it on a daily basis. So without further ado, I'll jump right into our demo session and share a little bit of how you can better manage your Agile projects by leveraging advanced roadmaps functionalities. So to start things off, I'd like to give some context around the differences between the roadmap functionality that comes bundled with Jira by default and advanced roadmaps. So the roadmap functionality is focused on a single project. As you can see here, I'm looking at just a standard Scrum project that I've created, and you can see the issues, in this case epics and stories and bugs, related to this specific project. There's no way of loading different projects or multiple projects within this view, and that's pretty much where advanced roadmaps comes into play. By using advanced roadmaps that comes bundled with Jira Premium, you can load multiple projects and also plan across multiple different teams. This is how it looks initially once you create a plan. And the intent here is that by doing so, by sharing that single centralized view, you'll be able to align the work, those multiple teams, and improve delivery, and also communicate faster, track dependencies, so bottlenecks, and also be able to plan better the deliverables, and also check the capacity of your team depending on the velocity. This is something that I'll show you guys how it works later on, but to get things started, I guess let's just focus on how did I got here, right? How did I create this plan? It's actually pretty simple. You just need to go to plans and then hit create a plan, give it a name as we have there, and then that's actually a very important step to be able to leverage the complete functionality of advanced roadmaps. You need to select board instead of a project or filter, because that way you're able to load the sprints here. So you just need to do the same thing that I've done on that other plan, is to select a specific board or boards for multiple projects, and also the team. I have previously created those teams, so you just need to select the team that is tied to each specific project board, right? And you can just keep adding however many boards and teams you need, right? That's pretty much how it works. So since I've actually already done that, and I've created this specific plan here, if we look at the configuration of this plan, over here you have the configure option, just to confirm that, actually just to show you which boards that I'm loading here, just 3 different Scrum project boards, right? And also, let me just show you a little bit of how those projects look. Let's pick one as an example. So as you can see here, pretty standard Scrum project. We already have some sprints created, actually one active sprint, and some items in the backlog. We created some future sprints as well for this number 1 Scrum project. The other 2 are pretty much the same thing. So they already have sprints created, they have their backlog, so something pretty straightforward. So getting back to the plan here, once you create a plan, it's just like pretty blank. There's no information whatsoever. So what can get it started is to configure it and tweak it based on the type of plan or the type of data that we want to extract from, right? So one thing that is something very important is to usually add more fields. So you can go here in the fields option and select, for example, story points. That's a pretty important field. You see that it will show up here. Of course, epics are not showing story points, but we have some stories that have been previously estimated already. And you see that there are dates tied to those stories. Those dates are coming from the sprint. So it's just pulling, even though there's no actual data as start date and due date, it's pulling from the length of the sprint, right? And something that we also can do is go here in the view settings and select roll up. This is something very useful, so that way you have all the information rolling up to the higher level, in this case the epic, so we can roll up the dates and also select roll up orders, so that would grab releases, story points, and some other fields. Here you go. So as you can see here, you have this arrow thing that's showing up that is the roll it up value for this specific epic. You can also see that the Gantt view is already showing data, also everything based on the sprint dates, right? Down here, you can see those icons here. This is something that Atlassian added recently. Back in the day, there was no way of, actually the only way of, scrolling through the timeline was just doing this, and sometimes once you get lost, it was kind of hard to find a way back. Now they added this today button here, and it's also easy to customize the range of your timeline here. You can set it as weeks, months, quarters, years, so whichever works best for you depending on the timeline that you're planning, right? So just leave it as months. Back to the fields here, let's add the sprint field so we can track it as well. And other than that, one thing that is also important to mention is that directly through the timeline view, through the scanned view, those bars, you can create dependencies between items. So let's say that this specific field is dependent on this other one, so we just need to drag and drop, right? So by doing so, you're creating a dependency where this item number 18 is blocked by item number 14 here, right? Will actually really easy to configure. One thing that I actually recommend, something that is actually new as well, is to change the dependency style to lines. It's kind of easier to identify the dependency over here. And then what you can also do over here, I've just created a dependency between items of a specific epic, so within the same project. But you can also create dependency between different projects, so you can track cross-project dependencies. So to better see it, I'll access this tab over here called on the view settings, and you have the option to group by a number of fields here. I'll select the project so we can see the items from each project, and from this view you can, for example, create a dependency from this epic to this epic, right? Let me just so by doing that, you'll see directly that the dependency has been created. And let's just create some other dependencies within the projects just to show how it looks. This one, and maybe this one. You see, well, now that we have it, I don't know if you noticed, but all the way to the top, as I was changing data, meaning creating these dependencies and adding data to the plan, these review changes started popping up, right? So over here, you can check all of the changes that were made to the plan, and you can either save them directly in Jira or discard them. So what this means is the Advanced Maps is a sandbox, so you can play around however you like it, right? Perform as many changes as you want, and that won't be reflected directly in Jira right away. So what you can do is you can pick and choose, you can plan for, you can increase the number of story points, you can decrease the number of story points of an issue, for example, and only then commit the changes or maybe discard those. So you can play around however you like and build the actual, the perfect plan, and only then you will commit those changes to Jira. So let's just add some more information over here, and that this is actually a good time to mention how important having a proper data field in the issues is. Advanced Maps doesn't really work that well without some, I would say, like a minimum type of information. So meaning we need to have the proper hierarchy level set. So we need to have the links between the stories, the bugs, the tasks, and the epics, or also all the way to the subtask level as we have here. So this needs to be properly set. if you have a plan or you're loading a project that have a bunch of stories that don't have an epic tied to it, advanced roadmaps will have a hard time loading the plan or showing proper information. And also, you need, of course, to have those items or those stories properly estimated, so they need to have story points assigned to it. And also, the team must be properly configured. I'll show what I mean by that later on, but those are pretty much the main fields or the main items that needs to be set so that the advanced roadmaps can load information properly. The hierarchy level, the estimates, and the team. With that being said, you notice that this specific epic and those items tied to it, they don't have a date, so that's why they are not showing up here in the timeline. They also are not assigned to a sprint, so that's also why they don't have dates. So let's say since they end up in the backlog, we can just choose dates for it. So let's say that this specific one will take this time, and this other one will take this amount of time. I'll actually add some story points to this one, and then I'll create a dependency as well, just to see how it will look like afterwards. So everything that I've done here, as you can see here, have more changes that were sent to the sandbox. Nothing is actually committed in Jira. You can play around with it. If you actually access the issue, actually have to do this one, you see that the data here is not filled in. So due date is empty, start date is empty, story point estimate is empty, even though we have it set over here in the plans. So everything is under this preview changes tab. Right, so you can even expand just to see which fields are filled in. So I've created a bunch of dependencies and included that information for those two issues. Right, I can choose to discard or save, as I mentioned before. So let's just actually not do anything. I want to commit any changes to Jira. I just want to show how powerful that sandboxing and planning feature of the advanced roadmaps is. And to do it, I'll actually use the auto schedule feature over here. So if you click it, you have a few options to override each values, either all values or only the empty values. You can even set which types of data you want advanced roadmaps to touch. So the sprints, the releases, and the teams. Since we actually don't have any data in Jira yet, so there's actually no fields that have been filled in Jira. All those items are actually empty. I don't actually need to worry about it. So just do all values and hit preview results. So the algorithm will run, and you see that it proposed some changes, mostly based on the dependencies that we've set. So you see that this item shifted, this other one also shifted, also within the sprint. So it actually delayed the delivery of this specific item. So it increased the amount of time, the overall time of this specific epic, right? I'll just do it again so you guys can see it. If I cancel, just go back to the previous view. So hitting auto schedule again, preview. So all of those items in purple are the ones that actually change it. So based on the algorithm, and I can either accept those or maybe shift things around a little bit more and then try to schedule things again. So if I do accept it, you see there are 52 changes were lined up, and now all of them are here, right? So I leveraged advanced roadmaps planning functionality, auto schedule functionality to fix my plan or to actually come up with an optimized plan based on all the data that I've included here. So the dependencies, the story points, the sprints that are created, everything. So that's pretty much what the auto schedule feature will look into and try to provide you with the best schedule possible, right? So just to do a quick recap, what we've looked at so far is how to create a plan, how to add fields to the plan, so customize the view. We also look at how to move through the timeline, how to create dependencies either within the project or across projects. We've looked at some grouping functionalities, such as this one, and also talked a little bit about how the sandbox feature works. So all of those powerful capabilities on planning without actually touching Jira data. And finally, we've looked at how the auto schedule feature works, right? So other than that, one thing that is actually worth mentioning too is, I don't know if you also noticed this button here, that you have the option to save this view. So let's say that you included a bunch of fields here, and now you like it. You can save this view and use it wherever you may like. And also you have the option to save it as a new view. So for example, if you include more fields and you would like to create a separate view, a separate slice of data with different fields, you can just save as give it a different name and just hit save. So we'll be able to access it from this views tab here. While we're at it, I would like to share with you some more information regarding this item here called the dependencies report. It's actually very good. It's actually a very good way to quickly find dependencies and maybe some bottlenecks within different teams as well, right? So for example, just like we configured before, we created a dependency between two different projects, meaning two different teams. Here you have the option to group by team and actually identify that dependency right away. So we have this dependency between this epic from this team number 3 with the other epic from team number 2. Right, so this can help you plan better and also be more aligned as a whole when you're working with different teams, right? The other very important view, or one of the most useful ones actually when we're talking about agile management within advanced roadmaps, is this one, the sprint capacity management view. And what it does is actually shows the capacity of all the sprints over here. So it lines up all the sprints that are currently active, or actually the ones that have already been created for all the teams, right? Alongside with some information regarding the capacity. So for this specific one, we can see that the team velocity that have been set by the team at the team level, I'll show you how it looks, is 5. It's 30 actually, but only 5 points have been allocated with stars that are present on this sprint. And there are 3, over here, there are 3 unestimated issues as well. So you can see in a glance, in a single view, how the overall sprint, not only from a single team, but from all the teams that are working that are part of your plan. Since we're talking about teams, is where you would configure them, also where you would edit or modify their velocity. So let's actually look at this one. And by default, once you create a team, we have a standard velocity of 30 points. So let's say that the actual velocity for the team is not 30, it is 10, right? You can just edit and save it. And actually, let's make the specific one as 10 as well. You can also notice that there's this field here called the associated issue source. This is a very important field since it will define the scope of the work of a specific team. So the PPM-S2 team is tied to the PPM-S2 board, right? So this is something that needs to be set for the sprint capacity management view to work properly and be able to show data properly as well. So right away you will notice that once I've changed the velocity of those teams, actually reduce it, the sprints will start showing as over-allocated. So there are 14 points estimated for that specific sprint, but the team velocity is only 10, so you won't be able to deliver that on that specific sprint, of course, right? The same way goes over here and over here, right? So how to fix it? This is pretty much one of the strongest capabilities of advanced roadmaps, where you can plan further and also forecast sprints. So how many sprints you need to deliver your work. You can leverage advanced roadmaps functionalities to provide that information to you. And actually, one of the best way to do it is to use, again, the auto schedule and see how advanced roadmaps tries to fix that issue of overallocated sprints for you. So let's click here over again, preview results, and let's see what comes up. So it tried to actually it fixed the overallocation issue for this specific sprint. So it shifted stories over to a following sprint. Over here is actually more interesting because since we had a dependency between those two tasks, it created 3 projected sprints and shifted that specific issue all the way to the end here. So it shifted the date of this specific sprint that we have, and by doing so you can assess the impact of the changes, or for example losing a team member while a sprint is ongoing and stuff like that. So we have really powerful tool here to be able to plan better and also make better decisions based on a multitude of data points that you're filling in the plans, right? So you can either as well accept it or just cancel it, just accept it. So that's pretty much all I had to share with you guys. I hope this was helpful. And actually, let me go back to the presentation to wrap things up and mention that if you're interested in learning more about advanced roadmaps, please feel free to set up a free 30-minute consultation to speak with one of our associates and see how report can help you transform, build, scale, and sustain your organization. Also, to stay tuned for more valuable content, follow us on social media and take a look at our website when you have the chance. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. Take care and be safe.
Okay, perfect. So that way is the demo part that just ended. I see that we don't have any questions in our Q&A or chat, but we did have 2 questions that were submitted before the webinar. So I can go ahead and start with those, and then Allison, you can go ahead and take over.
Okay.
So the first question that was submitted says, I realize that advanced roadmaps is for multiple Jira projects, and the basic roadmap available with Jira Software Cloud is for one project. But are there other differences between the basic roadmap and advanced roadmaps?
Sure. So as Guilherme mentioned in the webinar, the main difference with the basic roadmap that comes with Jira Software Cloud and the one that comes with advanced roadmaps, which is available in your cloud premium and enterprise level, is the ability to see multiple projects in that advanced roadmaps view, whereas the basic just shows the one project. Some other differences are that with the advanced roadmaps, you can add and present unlimited levels of hierarchy above the epic, like initiatives or themes, whereas with the basic roadmap, you see the epics and then all the stories under them. You can't go above an epic. Both advanced and basic show dependencies between tasks or epics, but advanced again gives you the ability to show dependencies across multiple projects. Team capacity, where you can see multiple teams capacity on a sprint by sprint basis, is advanced only. The sandbox feature, where you can make changes within the advanced roadmap view, but not update in Jira until you review those changes and specifically click Save Changes, that's available in advanced roadmaps only. And again, there's different scenarios that Guilherme mentioned where you can try out different versions of your roadmap, see which one works best for you, and then submit it. The last comment that I want to make is the basic roadmap view works with both company managed and team managed projects, and advanced at the current time works with Jira Software company managed only. There is a feature request for Atlassian that should be coming out probably the end of this year, where you can show epics from both company managed and team managed. So I think that one's all set, Lynette.
Perfect. We did have a question coming through chat. They're asking if this is a free add-in or add-on.
It's free if you have Jira Cloud Premium or Enterprise. It's not even available if you go with free or cloud plan for, I'm sorry, free or standard cloud.
Okay, perfect. The second question the third question that we have here, what link type does the dependencies view use, and can we change it?
Sure. The default link type that comes with advanced roadmaps is the blocks issue link type, but you can always modify that. You can add additional link types to Jira and then change your advanced roadmaps to use those additional links. You can have change the one that's there and then add more, or you can just change them all to have just one. And you would do that, a Jira admin would do that by using the settings of the advanced roadmaps tool itself.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Allison. I did a double check. We had another follow-up to the original question of, is this a free add-on? They put, I'm using Easy Agile program documentation, but can we integrate between these two?
I am not sure. Integrate meaning use the same Agile data that's used in the Agile program documentation to pull in the data out of advanced roadmaps. I think that's what this means. The data that okay, thank you. The data that advanced roadmaps is showing is all your issues, your tasks, your subtasks that are in Jira. So you would be able to pull that data straight out of a Jira issue. And advanced roadmaps is a representation of that. So as long as your Easy Agile program pulls the data out of Jira, the advanced roadmaps does the same thing. Okay, good. I'm glad you're confirming this. Thank you. I wanted to make sure it wasn't the settings that you needed integrated, but the data, you definitely can pull the same data.
Okay, perfect. I did another sweep. It looks like we don't have any more questions. Thank you very much, Allison. And thank you all for attending today. Just as a reminder, this recording was recorded and will be available. Will be sent to you shortly, I believe, in a couple of hours or tomorrow. And like Guilherme said, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or you can reach out to me directly. My email and phone number is included at the bottom, lynette.carrillo@ecor.com. If you have any questions or would like to set up one-on-one meetings, we are available. So again, thank you so much for attending our webinar, and we hope you enjoyed our session.